Well, hello, friends of Private Universe. We have a very special episode today, actually 3 episodes. It's a tribute to a good friend, Bill Lennon, who passed away only a little while ago and lived an amazing life. I interviewed him a few years ago when he jumped out of a plane, with a parachute, of course, when he was in his early 90s. I spoke to his daughter, who has her own radio program, and we discussed Bill. I will also release a talk that Deb, his daughter, had with her father a few years ago, and I'll re-release one of the talks I had with Bill about jumping out of a plane. Adventure and life. Enjoy.
Life is also a miracle, isn't it? I've got Carlos with me today. Thanks for coming in, our lovable, full of life psychologist, Carlos Camacho.
Oh, thank you. I love coming in here, Deb, so thank you again for inviting me.
Always great to have your wisdom too.
Oh, well, we're all learning. We're all learning as we go along. So I think someone wise is actually, ironically, someone that feels that they haven't learned enough, so there's always room for more.
Keep learning till we die, don't we?
I think so.
Yeah, and talking about dying, we're speaking about grief today, aren't we, and the ways of coping with grief.
We are. I thought it was a wonderful time to talk about this because you lost your father, and he was a wonderful man. I met him.
You did.
And I had the pleasure of him coming to my home. We did a podcast when he did those jumps from the plane at 90-odd years of age. Amazing. What a life.
I know, and we'll always have those memories because we've got the podcast on the internet.
Yes.
And also we've got him doing the jump, the skydive, because he was on the news. You just got to Google his name and it comes up, so it'll be there forever, hopefully.
Yeah, well, he was an inspiration, I think. Someone that lived his life to the fullest, intelligent, smart, and so funny. And he took every opportunity to squeeze every moment out of life. So
he did.
He's missed by all. And here publicly, I send you my condolences.
Thank you. It is hard when we're grieving, isn't it? But grief is very important, isn't it, Carl?
It is. Grief is a way for us to transition into having that absence of the person, because it's the absence that really gets to us.
It is.
Yeah, the physicality of it, that they're there and now they're not.
Can't see them anymore. We can't touch them.
Yeah, and it's different when someone takes a plane and goes away. And even if we never see them again, we know they're still in the world.
Yeah.
The problem with death, that it's so final and so terminal, so we have trouble coming to terms with that. And a lot of other mammals do too. A lot of animals, elephants grieve the loss of a loved one as well, and many other animals feel that there's something missing. So it's very important, biologically speaking, that we take time for that grieving process, because we need that in order to make sense of their absence. That's
right. It does take time, doesn't it? So it takes quite a lot of time, actually, especially for my mum. She's been with Dad. They were married 70 years. That's a long time. And ways of coping. What do you think some ways of trying to maybe distract ourselves from grieving?
Yes, I think it's important to decide that it's okay, to be upset, to grieve. I think it's very important to know that it's going to take a little bit of time, and there's later on there'll be a transition when we can talk about the person, think about the person, and
celebrate them.
Yeah, celebrate, not feel upset, but go, wow, how lucky was I to have this person in my life. And that's when we know that grief is over.
Okay, and it can sort of fall backwards as well, can't it? Because you can, have a happy moment, a memory, and you're laughing about that, and then the next minute you can fall back into the sadness, can't you?
Of course, and that's only natural. Us humans, we're emotional beings.
Yeah.
Aristotle said we're rational beings, but I think we're also emotional beings, and it's very important to allow that to develop. Some people try to hold on and try to be strong, and that's fine sometimes in certain situations, but I think when we're on our own or when we're around other loved ones, to really let that go, because it's therapeutic.
And as you were saying off air, thinking about someone makes them be.
That's right. there's a movement in philosophy that we call idealism, and some philosophers have believed and still believe that the only thing that is real is our ideas. So however we see things, when we think, when we experience things, that's really our reality. So whether something's true out there or not, doesn't really matter. What's important is how we feel about it.
And
our own subjective reality is idealism in a way, in that sense. So having said that, we can actually use those thoughts whenever we think about someone. We're bringing them back to life because they're real for us. They are there in our head. And that's very important because we feel our soul filled with them.
And we can sort of change our moments of thinking into maybe thinking something really hilarious about them that they've done, or something, really funny, really, something that makes you feel uplifted rather than sad, and bring them to life that way.
That's right. What's important, I think, when we are grieving is to make sure we don't fall too much into that negative thought, which is pretty much falling into more the absence of the person, what we're missing from them. But we need to switch that around and say, no, what did that person give me, and how important were they in my life? And the fact that they're gone, what have they left me with? And you'll find there's a lot that people leave us with.
There is, isn't there?
We still have it on us.
That's right. And when you're down, feeling really sad about it, what sort of ways, like animals? I know we got Mum a cat yesterday because she's alone in the house and she goes out a lot, but when you do have times when you have to be alone, don't you? So things like animals, what else?
Correct. Well, animals are wonderful, of course. Domestic animals, they're great. They give unconditional love.
They do.
And I think friends, very important. Speaking of Aristotle again, I mean, he thought that the highest love was friendship, and it's actually a form of love that demands nothing but gives so much. And so friends are very important. Real friends we're talking about, not digital friends.
True. Ones you can touch.
The ones you can touch. That's right. And the ones that will hear you out, that will be there for you. And don't be too upset if you can't count many, because there's only one or two really for all of us.
It's one or two really close ones. But I've been just so blessed, the beautiful people that have given me so many warm wishes throughout this time. People I don't know a lot even. You just think,
well, I can see his impact in your life. Your father was an incredible person, and he's left you with that legacy yourself, and no wonder you're getting a lot of people talking to you about him, because he was an incredible person, really, and not because we're talking live here on air about him. He's done so much, and I would actually encourage people to definitely Google him, because if you want to say his full name, of course, and he's done a lot and quite inspiring for the young people.
That's right, and the secret is to fill your life up with things and keep your brain going, I think. He used to sort of buy and sell cars, and he worked for Vision Australia with the money boxes up till a few years ago. The dogs, he'd take them out to the various places, bottle shops, etc., and bring them back to Vision Australia. Fill yourself up. Go to nursing homes and talk to Daryl Eastlake before he died.
And I still use him too. When I get some young people in my practice that are fearful of things, I said, I knew a man at 95. How old was he when he
93.
jumped out? 93.
Oh, he jumped out at 92.
92 and jumped out of a plane with a parachute, of course. And they're going, really? And I always use him as an example. That is incredible.
He
really
lives on, doesn't he?
He does.
Thank you, Carlos. And we've got some of your books. You brought them in a few weeks ago to give away to 3 lucky listeners. I really love the books Goodbye Charlie. That's your first one. And you had some good success with that book. So we'll give that to 3 lucky listeners that give us a call on 4322 0072. Right,
excellent.
Now, first 3 callers. And thank you, Carlos, for coming in. We've got a great song to celebrate Dad with, haven't we?
We sure do. I think it's so appropriate for him.
It is Van Halen and Jump.